Hi, I'm Lindsey.
And I'm Connor.
And I promise this is interesting.
Oh boy. It's your first episode of this specific show back from Vermont, Lindsey.
Welcome back.
That's you.
Welcome back. We posted a really fun Girlfriend Explains video on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been really missing us, you can check that out. That is a YouTube exclusive.
Yeah.
But this is our first I Promise This Is Interesting episode since I left for Vermont.
Yes, you're finally back officially.
Yes, finally back officially.
How did you enjoy Vermont?
I enjoyed it so much. I'm going to put in some more photos because it was absolutely gorgeous. I went through September. So like when I first got there, everything was still pretty green and a little humid from the summer. And then fall hit what seemed like overnight. Like the first frost came in.
Really?
And you could suddenly see your own breath and like fog was rolling in on the river and the leaves started to change. It was just absolutely gorgeous.
That sounds amazing.
And I did manage to rewrite a 145-page script while I was there.
That's crazy.
I re-outlined it and then I wrote 145 pages and I'm still not done. I really went there expecting like I'm going to finish this screenplay and it's going to be AFF fucking ready. And it's not. It still needs a little bit of work, but I'm very happy with the progress that I made.
Good.
Wonderful.
Good.
Do you know where we're going today?
Not at all. You haven't even given me a hint. You usually give me a hint.
I didn't give you any hint at all.
No.
I have a prop for today, so get excited, everybody.
Gotcha.
Connor, we just passed the 24-year anniversary of 9/11.
Yes, we did. We did just do that. Yeah.
Which is still a major stain on the fabric of America, you could say. I was born in 1997, not to get too vulnerable on the pod or put too much of my information out there. And I was living in California at the time of the attacks. So I don't have a memory of the day or of life before. In fact, one of my earliest memories is walking into my kitchen and seeing a newspaper on the kitchen table. And it was a picture of George W. Bush declaring the war on terror.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, oh, this is really good. This is a good guy. Because somebody in my family was a Republican.
Yeah.
But also important to point out, this is for the story. We're not just like conjecturing on like 9/11 conspiracy theories. But in the wake of 9/11, everybody was pro-war.
No president, I believe, has had such a high approval rating than Bush after 9/11.
It is important to point out, like people like George W. Bush and Rudy Giuliani before the 9/11 attacks, like they were controversy.
Yeah.
They're a president. They're politicians.
Yeah.
People hate them. They love them. They're pulling, oh, they cheated on their wife. Oh, they paint bad pictures. Like whatever. Like you don't like them. But then 9/11 happened and like the America ooh rah rah thing really picked up steam and suddenly Rudy Giuliani was everybody's favorite person.
Yeah.
I will say he handled post 9/11 New York with a lot of grace. He was a good mayor.
That's a tough job to have.
That is an impossible.
In the wake of the September 11th attacks. Yeah.
So this is that time. Anywho, now I'm going to assume that everyone watching this episode has some understanding of what happened on that day, but just most broadly, on September 11th, 2001, a coordinated terrorist attack led to the intentional crashing of 4 commercial aircraft, 1 into the Pentagon in Virginia, 2 into the World Trade Center in New York City, and another which was headed for the Capitol in D.C., which crashed into a field in Pennsylvania after the crew and passengers attempted to regain control. Nearly 3,000 people were killed, 6,000 people were injured, and countless more have since become ill or passed away from illness related to the chemicals exposed during rescue and cleanup.
A lot of cancer.
Yeah. I feel very foreign when we talk about 9/11 because I lived in New York City for 5 years. I visited the museum. I've talked to my parents about 9/11 plenty of times. They remember the day. And my prop is actually a newspaper from the day after.
Oh my gosh.
I got this from my dad.
You got that from your dad?
Yeah. He saved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a piece of history.
Yeah, it's the Los Angeles Times from Wednesday, September 12th, 2001. And the headline is Terrorist Attack New York, Pentagon.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
a photo of the World Trade Center. And of course, the entire issue is about the terrorist attacks and what we knew at the time, which was very little.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So this is 9/11 for me. I wasn't personally like affected by it. I actually don't remember a world pre 9/11. I very much grew up in a world post 9/11. I lived in New York. I went to the museums. I've talked to people, but also I've grown up on the internet, and like 9/11 is very much a meme and like a joke.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing. It's 9/11 usually becomes baby's first conspiracy theory. Like that's kind of where conspiracy theorists start.
That is a good way to put that. That is true.
I've met people and have had people in my family who are very like conspiratorial about 9/11. And it is kind of a meme on the internet because of that.
Yes.
Right.
I also grew up on The Daily Show. Like,
Yes.
I love The Daily Show, and Jon
Yes.
Stewart has been a massive like proponent and advocate for the first responders of 9/11 and all of the illness and cancer that they've faced. So this comes up and I have like no way to talk about it at all.
No.
Because it's also like now we're looking back 20 years on and we're looking at the war and all the destruction. And like now we're having those big political conversations. It's like, should we have done that? I don't know about this. I don't know about that.
Right.
I have no idea. This is all just to say that like 9/11 is the background for our story today.
And 9/11 has had a major impact on not only the U.S., but culture and the developing world of the United States and first world nations.
It's really fascinating how much you can trace back to the terrorist attacks.
Absolutely.
The reason that certain things are not outside of airports and like international security, just like our relationships with certain countries and the ripple effect that this has had is really incalculable.
Absolutely.
Not to get all MFA about it. But anyway, let's get out of that bear trap of a conversation and talk about a Dutchman. A Dutchman named Rudi Dekkers. Are you familiar with a man named Rudi Dekkers?
I'm not.
Okay, well, let's talk about him. Rudi was born on July 27th, 1956, in Apeldoorn, Netherlands, which has been a settlement since the 8th century.
Oh, wow.
That is the beginning of time. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Not much is known about Rudi's childhood, but we do know that it was very bad. His family was extremely poor and, in fact, had no running water or electricity. The neighborhood that he grew up in specifically was called the Ghetto of Amsterdam. I'm not familiar with Amsterdam. I have visited one time, and I had a great time. That's what I know about Amsterdam.
That's what all my friends who go to Amsterdam say. Awesome city.
Awesome.
Loved it.
But apparently there's a ghetto, and he grew up in it, and it sucked. According to Rudi, quote, at school, they called me a skunk because I walked around every day in unwashed, pee-filled underwear. That haunted me for a long time.
Yeah.
I shower twice a day now, but it has made me strong, end quote. His father was also incredibly abusive, so Rudi started running away for days at a time when he was just 8 years old. And he's living on the streets of Amsterdam. Like, it's not like he goes to an uncle's house and he's just hiding out with grandma. Like, he's just on the streets of Amsterdam in the 60s wandering around.
Jeez.
It's like, did you ever run away as a kid?
No, I never ran away as a kid. My sister did. My sister ran away once as a kid.
You seem like you were a pretty good kid.
I did. We actually, my family, my mom, and the house that we lived in Miami, we actually hosted a couple of kids, my friends who ran away from home. I had 2 or 3 friends in my teenage years in high school who ran away and came to our house.
Interesting.
And they lived with us for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about my mom.
Yeah.
And how my friends like trusted her and knew that they would be safe. And my mom, we didn't keep them secret. You know, my mom contacted their parents, was like, it's fine if he stays here.
Yeah.
You know, but just letting you, that kind of thing.
Like, he's not missing.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
he's not living on a bus.
Did you ever run away as a kid?
Yeah.
You ran away? Really?
I did. I did twice. I got caught once. Oh, first time I was in Montana. When I was a kid, my mom and I fought a lot. It was usually about, like, I was very mouthy and I wouldn't do my chores. That's what I remember arguing about.
Yeah.
She would tell me to do something. I'd be like, why? And she's like, please just do it. And I'd be like, no. I was very anti-authoritarian. So I ran away in Montana once. I packed a bag. I took granola bars, my homework, because I wasn't going to drop out of school. It wasn't crazy.
You got big plans, yeah.
I had big plans to become a jockey. And I also took my little bug collector cage. And I went up into the mountains. We were like right at the base of a river. And when you cross the river, there was a mountain right there. And I went up into the mountain a little bit. And I went up and I spent like the evening, like hiked out. Now, my plan was to camp out there and then cross over into the mountains. And then I guess at some point go back to the 3rd grade. I don't know. What I wasn't, I didn't plan this out super well. But then it got really dark and it got really cold. It's Montana. And I started hearing some really scary animal noises. So I went back home and I don't think my parents knew that I left. I just came back and like, oh, were you at your friend's house? And I was like, yeah. Like, they didn't even know. So to me, it felt like I was gone for 12 hours. I might have been gone for 45 minutes.
That's like that. Did you ever watch that show? Wife Swap.
My mom applied for that show.
Did she really?
We submitted an audition tape for Wife Swap.
Wife Swap?
In Montana.
That's
same year.
amazing.
Big year for the Myers house.
That's amazing. There's an episode, I'll post a clip of it, where there's a kid who gets the wife swap for the family happens, and this new wife who's taking care of the house tells them they can't do certain things. This little boy with like a mohawk and a southern accent's like, well, she's just treating us like the sorry people, telling us what to do, and I'm not gonna have it.
She's acting like she's the queen and we're the sorry people.
And he packed up his rolling backpack full of clothes.
Oh,
So I'm not doing it. I'm leaving.
oh, little guy. Oh,
And
no.
he stormed out of the house.
Oh.
And it's like just a chyron. It's like Jason was gone for 30 minutes.
After spending a few hours at his grandma's house eating chicken nuggets, he has decided to return home.
And then returned.
Oh, no. That's humiliating. That was me. That's so embarrassing.
And he got home and he asked the woman for like, do we have any snacks? Like,
You got hungry. I know. I was like, God, if you're going to make me wash dishes, I'll get eaten by a black bear. I don't care. I can't live in this prison anymore. And then, the second time I ran away, we were living in Texas, and I just walked to the end of the drive. I was in my nightgown, and I think my parents had just been like, no more video games for the night or something. We got into another fight, probably chores related.
yeah.
And I stormed out of the house and was like, I can't live like this anymore. And I walked down to the end of the driveway and just sat there. And I was there probably for about an hour. And my Uncle Lenny pulls up in his truck and he just gives me one of these like fingers. He's like, yeah. And I got into his truck and I was like, they're going to be so mad. And he was like, well, yeah. Yeah, they're going to be pretty pissed.
I don't mean to diminish the things that you went through as a child. Both instances that you've described are not running away.
No.
That's
but
just going on an extended walk
it is.
in your property.
But in my heart, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the driveway. I was hitchhiking. I had my thumb out, but we lived in the sticks. Nobody's driving by like I'm on the highway.
You're on
like
a closed circuit cul-de-sac.
I'm basically in our driveway.
Yeah.
There's no one coming by. So I was not as streetwise as Rudy Deckers, you could say.
Yes.
So Rudy grows up somehow and gets into real estate. And he's pretty good at it. He's selling like 2 to 3 houses a week, which as someone who has neither sought nor bought a house, I don't.
2 to 3 houses a week?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is that good?
That's amazing. Most real estate agents, when they start, they can't even sell a house for like 4 or 5 months.
Damn.
Like that's usually the clip they're going at. 2 to 3 a week is
All right.
insane.
Well, for someone with no metric to measure this, that sounds impressive.
Yeah.
Good for him. Now, in 1983, Rudy meets someone, and this chance meeting pretty well alters the course of his life. Who do you think he meets? 1983.
Rudy Giuliani.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
He meets Bill Gates.
In Amsterdam?
Yeah.
Wow.
The two crossed paths at a computer conference, and this interaction inspired Rudy to set up a computer business because he's seeing the vision. He bought into Bill Gates' whole thing.
Yeah.
Which Bill Gates has a charm about him, especially young Bill Gates. When he's pitching the idea of the computer, you're like,
The big glasses
yeah.
and
no, this guy knows what's up. It's like the beginning of like the nerd apocalypse. And I think Rudy was like, no, this guy knows what's up.
Yeah.
So he gets really into the computer business. Now, Rudy is a risk taker. He's an entrepreneur, like so many other people we talk about on this channel. So he's not going to go about this in a normal, well-established way. He is going to run the business through Miami and then sell the computers in the Netherlands. This little runaround allows him to bypass tax laws and effectively become one of the first computer dealers in the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now he's selling houses and he's selling computers. So he's making 1980s money.
That's crazy.
And when men get money, they get machines. And Rudy's machine of choice was the airplane.
He bought an airplane.
So he obtains his pilot's license.
Now, I'm a little nervous because you've started this episode talking about 9/11.
Yes.
And now we have a young man with big goals, big ambitions, and now a plane.
Yep. So now you're tracking the thread. Or
Yes.
you're saying you're tracking the thread that I'm laying.
I think so.
Okay. What would be your machine as a man?
If I had $1 billion,
You're selling computer. You're the first computer salesman ever, and you're selling houses. What's your machine?
Gosh.
Every man has got one.
has got a machine.
Yeah.
I would probably try to get into motorcycles at that point. Like, I think that's a very stereotypical answer, which is funny because I don't like motorcycles right now.
I love the way they look, though.
They're beautiful machines.
Very sexy.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
It definitely wouldn't be boats. Fuck.
Oh,
Boats,
it's a lot of work. I'm not scraping up barnacle
No.
off anything.
no. I think airplanes are pretty cool, but there's a lot of like law and radio traffic and like stuff that goes on with that.
Yeah.
you
Same
know?
thing with helicopter pilots, like any kind of pilot's license. Just there's the amount of training and like technical knowledge and know-how
Right.
is a little overwhelming.
Let's say I think I'm very lucky in that I don't have a rich taste for anything specifically. Like I think my machine would be surfboards, like truthfully.
Oh, that's a great
Which
answer.
are just like $500 or $600, and
No, that
you
makes
can
me
take
love
them.
you more.
You can take them anywhere and put them in the
can.
water.
Yeah.
You know, stand-up paddle boards are a lot of fun. Those are really expensive. The nice ones can go
Really?
for like $1,200, $1,300.
Fucking stand-up paddleboard. Oh my god.
My sister bought a really nice one before she passed away, and that's like a family heirloom. It's like I think she might have spent $1,100 on it.
Holy Lord.
Yeah, it's really nice too.
Damn.
I've taken it out a couple times. It's like a Cadillac. The thing's awesome.
Dude,
you know,
speaking of Cadillac, I would have a couple nice classic cars.
classic cars.
There
yeah.
are a couple classic cars that I really dream of. I'm not that into cars
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I went through a period where I was really into like F1 and cars and whatever. But there are a couple like classic Mercedes that I'm like, yeah, I want it. It's $100,000, but I want it.
When it comes to cars, I've always been attracted to Porsches. I don't really know why. I have no reason to be attracted to Porsches.
No, that's interesting. Every car guy, real car guy, super into Porsches.
Is that right?
That is their car. Yeah.
Have you heard the story about Jeremy Clarkson's like thing with Porsches?
No.
Do you know who Jeremy Clarkson
You
is?
that British guy?
He's a British guy who was on Top Gear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that guy a
So
lot.
he is very big. He's like a huge, massively known for being a big Porsche guy.
A lot of them are.
He's got a
Yeah.
collection of them. And he said his father was in the hospital, aging. And he got the call from the hospital that said, hey, it's going to be like it's going to be today, we think. You know, Jeremy Clarkson gets into his Porsche 911.
Oh, that's a nice car.
And I think he took the Autobahn out to where his father was in the hospital because I don't think they were in the same country. And he managed to get there by speeding down the Autobahn in his Porsche. And he got there and was able to see and talk to his father before he passed away. And I believe he passed away about an hour after he got there.
So any other car,
Any other
in
car-
any other street,
Any other car would not have gotten him there.
Yeah.
And he references that story as like this is what makes the relationship with the car is the stories that we find ourselves within throughout life.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a really beautiful sentiment.
That is like, I know we're talking about cars and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's just a machine. But like, I talk to myself when I drive all the time. I've had plenty of breakdowns in that Corolla.
Sure.
I'm bonded with that Corolla. I talk to her like she's a horse. I'm like, Diane, like anytime I named her Diane. Anytime she gets me anywhere and it's been a tricky traffic situation, I'm like, atta girl.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping me safe. We're skipping forward in time a little bit. In 1993, just as Plaid and Doc Martens are really taking off, Rudy is convicted of tax fraud.
Okay, so he's buying too many airplanes and not claiming his revenue.
Tax fraud gets all of our favorite guys.
It always does.
Come on, guys.
If it got Al Capone, it'll get you.
Really. Every government loves its money more than its people. He was eventually acquitted, but all this talk of fraud and evasion really sours his relationship with business partners.
Mm-hmm.
He is also accused of sexual harassment right around this time. That case was settled out of court.
Okay.
So Rudy decides he needs to start afresh, and he goes to Florida to do this. So Rudy moves to Florida, and he's still rolling in money. Probably has his hair in a seagull, doing cocaine and having the time of his life. 1999, Rudy purchases Hoffman Aviation, which is a flight training school.
Okay.
At the time, Huffman had a fleet of 12 small aircraft, and Deckers offered flight instructor training, commercial pilot training, instrument rating, and I'm already getting confused, so we should stop there.
Yeah.
Why are we rating instruments, by the way? How does this work? Do you know how this works?
Instrument rating, I assume it's like a quality thing. Like instruments have to be fine-tuned, especially when it comes to airplanes and things that have to go up or down, right? Like
Right.
it's one thing to understand how to read the instrument. It's another thing to calibrate them to where they're accurate.
Well, that's my whole thing is like, why are we instrument rating? It either works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, we throw it away, right? Like we're talking about an airplane. We can't have like an 8 out of 10 part when we're in the sky.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it has to do, we're totally speaking out of ignorance here. My guess would be that it has to do with the level of detail that the instrument goes into. So instead of being in, let's say, when you're talking about like a thing that would detect particles in water, right? You would have one that would go down to like a micron level. Then you would have another would go down to like the sub micron level. That's like different ratings. You know what I mean? And it's probably different forms of accuracy because the more specific and more detailed you get into the rating or the thing that you measure, the more accurate you can be. That's my guess. I don't know.
This is why I like horses.
Yeah, horses are easy.
They're just alive and you can talk to them. It's just like so much better. Okay, so by 2001, Rudy's net worth was cruising at around $12 million. He owned he owned a Dodge Viper and a helicopter.
Nice.
He also had a landing pad in front of his home in Naples, Florida.
He
He's
lives
doing
in
okay.
Naples? Good
Yeah,
Lord.
I know. So, in July of 2000, Rudy was at his flight school having a little cup of coffee when two students came up and introduced themselves. Mohammed Atta, an Egyptian architect, and Marwan al-Shayi, a 23-year-old man from United Arab Emirates. And I guess these three really hit it off because just a month later, in August 2000, the school filed M1 student visa request forms for both, and they were both accepted into the professional pilot program only a few months later.
Wow.
These requests were granted, and they started. And for a short while, during their time at the school, both men actually lived with another company employee.
Okay.
So, Rudy has gone on to say that Mohammed Atta and Marwan al-Shayi were pretty terrible students. Like, they talked through instruction and were fooling around the whole time, like barely paying attention. And it got to the point, Rudy actually described Atta specifically as a dead man walking. He said, quote, "I said to myself, my gosh, he's not buried yet, but that's the only thing," end quote.
So what made them sponsor the visas? Money? Did they just pay a boatload of money to get there?
So to partake in this professional pilot program, it cost each man $10,000 for 2 months of instruction.
Okay.
And we'll put up what that translates to in 2025 money.
Sure.
But $10,000 for 2 months, pretty good. And I think if you're, if you do qualify for student visa, which you would in this case because you're entering like a school, a training school,
Sure.
then you can apply for a student visa, and it's pretty easy to get a student visa. Of all the visas to get in the United States, that's the easiest one. And it comes with a deadline. Like they only had a visa for 1 year, and then they would have to leave.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And this is, again, pre 9/11. So the restrictions on immigration, student visas, and
Yes.
especially people coming from the Middle East and parts of Africa
Very different.
have not been locked down yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 6 weeks in the program, Rudy tried to set the men straight because other instructors were complaining that like they're not paying attention, they're distracting other people, they're kind of rude, like it's just they're kind of a problem. So he threatened to kick them both out if they didn't behave. And Rudy has said Atta did not like that. So the two received their licenses in December 2000 and they left the school.
Okay.
Mohammed Atta and Marwan al-Shayi were 2 of 20 hijackers involved in the attacks on 9/11. Atta crashed into the North Tower, and al-Shayi crashed into the South Tower.
Are you serious?
Yes.
This man from Amsterdam trained 2 of the pilots that ended up taking down the Twin Towers?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Rudy, like everyone else in the country, watched the events unfold on his television, jaw to the floor. Who could do this, he thought to himself as he sat behind the wheel of his Dodge Viper eating a stroopwafel. The next morning, on September 12th, at 5 o'clock in the morning, he receives a call from the FBI informing him that the men who crashed into the World Trade Center had gone through Huffman Aviation.
They did.
That, Rudy said, is when my 9/11 started. It's also important to note that Rudy calls 9/11 911.
Oh, because he doesn't speak English as a first
In
language?
every interview, he's
Yeah.
like, that's when my 911 started. I'm like, you're calling it 911?
I don't mean to totally derail.
No, please.
But this is kind of interesting to me. Are you aware of the other major accident that happened in 2001?
No.
There was a massive accident that occurred with the Navy where a submarine breached, a U.S. submarine came up above water and killed, I want to say it destroyed a Japanese fishing boat and killed a couple dozen men on board. And it was a massive scandal.
Oh, God.
The person in charge of that submarine, I believe, was reprimanded. I don't think he was dishonorably discharged, but it was like it was national news. I mean, you got to think, during a military exercise, a dozen civilians from a different country that we are allies with gets killed.
Oh, man.
Massive, massive scandal.
Huge
massive
problem.
problem. And then 9/11 happened, which is crazy to think about. I'll have to look up the details, but I know kind of the rough shape of that story.
I think about all those stories of people there are a lot of stories of people in New York. Actually, my science teacher, I had a chemistry teacher in high school. His name was Mr. Carney. Mr. Carney was the best dressed teacher I have ever had.
Really?
This man was slick. And we found out that he used to be a model in New York City.
Okay.
Makes sense. He was 50 and foxy. He looked so good. But 9/11, I think, had its 20-year anniversary when I was in high school.
Would have been
Some major, the anniversary rolled around, whatever it was. And Mr. Carney came in and was like, I don't really feel like teaching today. I think I would rather just talk to you guys. And he asked us some questions, but we were all pretty young and none of us had lived in New York or New Jersey at the time. So largely a lot of us had the same opinion of 9/11 that I do, where it's I only know the world like this. And
Right.
I don't have a huge personal connection to it, but this is the country that I was born into. Mr. Carney was a model at the time, and he was living in Manhattan, and he had gone out drinking the night before, and he was hungover, and he was supposed to go down to a photo shoot with his partner at the time to downtown, right around where the World Trade Center is. But he slept in, and his partner left without him. And he woke up a few hours later, and one of the buildings had already been hit. And then he watched the second tower get hit, and then of course they collapsed. And
Right.
his partner was down there and died when the buildings collapsed. And he told us that story, and his whole point was one tiny decision can completely alter the course of your life.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go out the night before because I had this early morning photo shoot, but I got guilted into it, and I decided okay, fine. And then I was already kind of pushing 30, so I had a couple of drinks and that was enough for me. And
Yeah.
I slept in, and all of those tiny decisions just led to me being here and my partner not being here.
right.
And there are tons of stories flooded around New York and DC at the time of tiny decisions that people made.
Yeah.
That completely altered the course of their life.
A very famous one is Mark Wahlberg. He was supposed to be on one of the flights that I believe hit the Twin Towers.
That's right, but I think he was also hungover and missed the flight.
He was.
A lot of hungover stories
He
here.
was. Yeah, that's so true. Tiny decisions make a big impact. I've told you about my big hit and run that I was a part of, where I was the victim of a hit and run.
Yes, Connor and I have both been hit by cars.
Yes,
Isn't
we
that
have.
fun?
And mine occurred at 3:00 in the morning. I'd been hanging out with some friends. I don't drink, so I was good to drive home. And I was driving home, waiting at a stoplight, and I had just missed the light to turn. So I'm sitting there at the stoplight, and I look up, see headlights, and a car hits me going 80 miles an hour. And I think back a lot to what if I had just made that light? What if I had left 10 minutes sooner, 10 minutes later? There's a lot of just ifs surrounding that, you know? And it's it is the butterfly effect of things, where the tiniest little thing, if I had chosen to go to the restroom before leaving the bar, that would have changed things for me,
Yeah.
Small stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? So
And also, if the car had hit you at a slightly different angle, you might have broken bones or
Right.
been injured even more than you already
or
were.
been killed.
Or been killed.
Yeah.
Just tiny little decisions like that. So yeah, Rudy bought this flight school. I don't know. He met Bill Gates, and Bill Gates is what convinced him to get into selling computers. And because of that, he made a bunch of money. And because of that, he got into flying planes. And because of that, he bought this school. And because he bought the school, he ended up training these terrorists. And it's
Yeah.
you just missed that meeting with Bill Gates, and you're just another Dutch guy owning a hotel or
Right.
something. I don't know.
Well, and what's funny is now that it's been such a well-studied part of American history, 9/11 is kind of a thing you can connect to everything, right? So I think the kind of a meme one that people do is 9/11 is directly responsible for Twilight, where it's 9/11 caused My Chemical Romance to become a band, which inspired Stephanie Meyer to write the books that eventually became Twilight. Something like that.
Yeah.
All these little threads. And really what that says, it's fun to think about, but really what that says is how absolutely ingrained 9/11 has become in American culture, and how it affected quite literally everyone in the country.
Yes.
You and I both have talked about it. Everyone we know who were adults at the time knew someone or knew someone who knew someone that was affected by 9/11.
Yes. I went to school in New York. Everybody that I met who was born and raised in New York or born and raised in New Jersey knew multiple people who died that day.
Yeah.
So if you were from the city or like the tri-state area, you were directly affected. But something that big can't happen and like not affect everybody else.
Yeah.
We're all interconnected. Not to get artsy fartsy goofy, but like we're all interconnected. Like you can't in an instant lose 3,000 people and have that not affect children in Southern California.
Yeah.
Like I was in kindergarten, I think at the time. That affected me in ways that I don't even have access to.
I know.
Because I was so young. But you know who was really affected? Rudi Deckers.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
From the start, Rudi fully cooperated with the FBI, handing over all records, letting agents flood the grounds, analyze his own personal data and finances, which did not work out for him in the end. Everything was laid out on the table because everything, even being a tax evasionist, is better than being a domestic terrorist. So, former FBI investigator Kerry Myers has stated, quote, "He didn't require a subpoena. He didn't require a court order. He was a good American citizen."
Honestly, like, it's a joke, but it's like when police officers pull people in for an investigation and the person goes, well, I want my lawyer. I won't talk to you until, and they go, why do you need a lawyer? What are you trying to hide?
Yeah.
And
If
it's
you're
like,
not guilty, you don't need a lawyer.
I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. That's what you should say if you get taken in.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the one instance where it's like, nope, no lawyer. Just take
Look
it
at
all.
my life.
Yeah.
I haven't paid taxes in 5 years. I am cheating on all of my wives and girlfriends. I did commit fraud.
Right. It's like Broadchurch, right? We're
God.
watching Broadchurch right now with the illustrious David Tennant and Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
And there's a character where he gets brought in. It's the father of the person that gets murdered.
A child dies
child
in a very
dies.
suspicious way. And they start looking at the family naturally. That's where every investigation starts. And they
Yeah.
pull the dad in and he's being super shady. And we find out it's because he's cheating on his wife. And I'm like, you can be an adulterer.
Right.
Wouldn't you rather just be a cheater than be a child murderer?
Yeah. Because adultery is not illegal.
No.
Killing a child is. And right now the police suspect you killed a child because you're trying to hide your affair.
Isn't everything better than that? Just go at something that dramatic happens, you have to just go in and be like, here is everything bad I've ever done in my life.
Right.
That's not one of them.
Right. Exactly.
Like, so he does that.
So he's totally just take a look. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myers also stated that evidence linking Ramzi bin al-Shaib to the attacks came from Rudi's records.
Oh.
This was very important because Ramzi is the suspected 20th hijacker.
Okay.
So I guess in 9/11, there were 19 confirmed hijackers, but there is a suspected 20th hijacker who didn't participate on the day for some unknown reason, but helped plan and plot and was like very heavily involved in all the pre-production for this. And Ramsey is suspected to be the 20th hijacker.
I see.
And he is in Guantanamo Bay right now.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Good.
But that all came from Rudi's records. So Rudi also maintained throughout this whole invasive process that he and his company had done everything right. They filed for the visas, they made copies of their passports, and there were no red flags everywhere. They were bad students. They had no reason to believe that they were terrorists.
Being a bad student's not illegal.
No, they were just kind of annoying and like a little like off-putting.
Right. But
you know?
their checks cleared. Like they paid for the classes.
Yeah, and then they got their licenses and they left. And
Yeah.
like they didn't hear anything about them for almost a year. So
Right.
like, yeah. So running a flight school in a post 9/11 America is kind of tricky. But when you are the flight school that trained the terrorists that crashed into the World Trade Center on live television, I think you have to change your name and open a sandwich shop. But Rudi tried to recover. Huffman tried rebranding. They tried pivoting to no avail. In January 2002, a local reporter went to Huffman Aviation and managed to just like casually slip in between airplanes and like go into the hangars, access fuel tanks and storage without anybody noticing him or asking him for verification or ID or anything,
wow.
which is extremely dangerous. And we are now officially in a post 9/11 world. So like, why is this like stranger able to just like walk around and like access like cabins and everything? That's super dangerous.
I mean, it really goes to show like how loose everything was back then.
Yeah.
Like we watched the pilot for Narcos recently.
Oh,
And part of the beginning of that story is like cocaine coming to America. It truly was as easy as them putting cocaine in their jackets, getting on a plane and coming to America.
because before that happened, we didn't think to check for it. We were
Right.
just figuring out what cocaine was.
Right.
And they were already selling like tons of it down in Colombia.
Yeah.
So like the government's always way behind.
Well, and it's always reactionary, right? Like the reason we can't bring water bottles through security is because of that one guy who turned a water bottle into a bomb.
I'd really like to meet the shoe guy.
Yeah.
I just want to have a talk with the frickin' shoe guy And why at some airports do I have to take off my shoes and other times I don't?
Yeah.
Sometimes I swear to God, I don't have to do anything. I just put my backpack through that thing and they're like, please leave your shoes on, your belt. I don't care if you have stuff in your pockets. I could bring a pocket knife on and they'd be like, whatever. And other times they're like, do you have a bobby pin in your hair? Why? And they're like doing that metal detector thing on my head.
The worst to me is like every now and then I'll get an airport where I start taking my laptop out of my bag and they go, sir, do not take anything out of your bag. It's like, we have been trained Pavlovian style for the last 20 years to take our laptops and electronics out of our bag.
Yes.
Don't act like this is that I'm crazy for doing that.
I pack specifically for it. I have my laptop and then my bag of liquids, and then I take off my shoes. I wear shoes that are easy to take off, and I don't wear any jewelry because I don't want to fuck around with it.
Exactly. I put all of my things into my bag.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I don't put anything in my the bag that I check. It's all just clothes.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not putting anything else in there because they don't want you to put batteries or anything, and I don't want to deal with it.
And that's like a distinctly American problem I recognize because
Yes.
other countries don't have to do that.
They don't. They're much more lax. Okay, in March that same year, 2002, the school was cited for having left fuel trucks unlocked with keys in the ignition.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of security issues with Huffman Aviation. And it's already under intense fire because this is months after 9/11.
They'd be under a huge magnifying
They are
glass.
looking at Huffman Aviation super tightly.
Right. Well, I imagine the FBI is also looking at other aviation schools around the country, being like, we have to tighten this up.
Yes, because
Right.
there was another flight school in Venice, California, the same area where Rudy was operating, where other hijackers were trained. But that school was not shut down. For some reason, that flight school really escaped like public scrutiny and like the public eye. But Rudy was very much under intense pressure. And I think a lot of that had to do with like other illegal business practices that he was involved in.
Sure.
He was evading taxes. I think he was probably screwing over employees. He got charged with sexual harassment back in the Netherlands. I wouldn't be surprised if like other things were happening like that.
Yeah, it's tough when you get a charge from your home country and you try to travel internationally. Like you get stopped at the border every time for that.
Yeah.
Because it goes on. You do have a permanent record as an immigrant.
Yeah. So a month later, in April, this is all happening within a few months, Rudy crashes his helicopter into the Calahoochee River. What is this river?
The Calahoochee.
No, Caloosahatchee.
Oh.
Caloosahatchee. I'm going to take it back just in
Okay.
case. Caloosahatchee. A month later, Rudy crashed his helicopter into the Caloosahatchee River, and he was rescued by a fellow pilot. Rudy claimed that the fuel lines to that helicopter were cut, and that's why he crashed, because he checked the fuel level that morning and it was full, and then he brought the helicopter up, and very shortly after takeoff, like all the fuel ran out and the helicopter just fell down into water.
Wow.
I couldn't verify that claim anywhere, and like I don't know who would want Rudy Deckers dead, but that's what he claimed happened.
I mean, after 9/11, the level of American patriotism, like just like absolutely blinding patriotism that most Americans felt was pretty severe.
It was.
So it wouldn't surprise me if some American, like just a regular American citizen who wanted to take it upon themselves to deal with the people that trained the terrorists during 9/11 tried to take him out.
And it is kind of, the timing here is interesting because the first reporter showed up in January and was like, I can just access your fuel tanks, no problem.
Right.
Like there's no security at this aviation school. And then a couple months later, the fuel lines are cut and he crashes his helicopter into a body of water, which by the way has an 80% fatality rate. I did not know that. Helicopter crashes into water, 80% of the time you die. I don't want to be in that. Get me out of there. That is not my machine. So, in the 2 years after the attacks, Rudy went bankrupt, lost his business, his house, crashed his helicopter, got divorced, and lost custody of his daughters. He received death threats and had trouble with the IRS and the FAA.
Jeez.
And in 2003, Rudy sold Huffman Aviation. Flash forward
Oh boy.
to 2007.
Okay. There's pre-financial crisis.
Umbrella by Rihanna is topping the Billboard Hot 100. Steve Jobs has just unveiled the very first iPhone. And researchers in Germany announced the discovery of a claw from a giant 390 million year old sea scorpion. Rudi Deckers is in Fort Myers, Florida,
Okay.
making a living by selling swimming pools. He's remarried, this time to a Cuban woman who is pregnant with what I believe is his third child. And everything is looking up. Rudy is back on track. Until the 2008 financial crisis hits him like a third tower. Overnight, the Florida housing market collapses and Rudy loses his business.
It collapsed in Florida first,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Damn. Yeah, people aren't buying swimming pools if they don't have houses.
No,
Yeah.
they're really not. So by 2011, he is about to be evicted from his nice house. His wife has already left him. He can't find a job, so he's on food stamps, eating once a day, and illegally tapping electricity.
Oh, man.
He's also being pursued by the authorities because his visa has expired. So he's technically in the country illegally with no way to sustain himself. Rudy gets really desperate. And what do desperate people do?
Fly planes into buildings?
They write. So he writes a book called Guilty by Association.
Oh, okay.
And it's about everything that happened with the flight school and 9/11 and all this. The book was met with mixed reviews, with a lot of people claiming it's just in bad taste. For a long time, we could not talk about 9/11 without immediately getting very tender and very defensive. I remember this from middle school and even high school. It was still very like, you don't joke about it.
I'll be honest, like even in just this conversation, I can feel that part of me that's like very patriotic coming out a little bit.
It's a very specific feeling. Nothing else makes me feel this way.
No, and I don't know how much of that is like a real feeling that I've developed over the years versus like the decades of like American propaganda that I've been exposed to.
I think it makes me feel uncomfortable talking about 9/11 just because it's become so politicized.
It has.
And I don't want to make anybody upset. And everybody is upset by 9/11. Everybody.
And I think now with retrospect and knowing like that it started kind of the war on terror and what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran, like all it just everything that would become the fallout of 9/11.
Yeah.
You know
Our
what I mean?
relationships with every nation in the Middle East and then veterans. It's such a wide reaching subject that it's really difficult to talk about it and not feel just tight.
Yes.
I always feel like I swallowed a brick, you know? So yeah, some people read this book and they were like, that's in really bad taste. I don't know why you would do that. But according to Rudy, he says, and I quote, I live 9/11 every day.
That's a big claim.
Big claim. Now, it's 2012. What do you, Connor, what would you do if this had been your life so far?
I would honestly go back home. I would take my shekels. I would pack up my stuff. I would go back to Amsterdam and open up a dive bar.
Are you telling me you would not get into drug smuggling?
That would not be on my list of top 100 things.
I'm going to need you to dream bigger. I'm going to need you to get your entrepreneurial hat on.
After all of this.
Rudy's got it on.
After all of this.
So according to Rudy, yeah, this is very important to mention. All this information is coming from Rudy. I've read these articles that are written like in Dutch newspapers and American newspapers. There's very little information about Rudy Deckers actually, and I couldn't get a hold of his book because it's not available in any of the public libraries in Los Angeles. So I don't know. So all of this is coming from Rudy directly. So some of this could be embellished, but also you look at like the track of his life, and I think it tracks. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, there's no like outstanding thing. But to be fair, once you train two of the pilots who took down the Twin Towers, kind of anything after that's a little believable. You know what I mean?
I know. And then like you're selling swimming pools and the financial crisis ruins your life a second time. Like you can't make up this timing. Like
you're the unluckiest man in the world.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So according to Rudy, he started getting into drug smuggling right after the financial crisis.
Okay.
So he loses his business. His wife is pregnant. And there's a lot of pressure for him to continue providing, which every person was feeling in the 2008 financial crisis. That was stressful for everyone. So he gets pretty desperate. And he had a brother-in-law who connected him with some people. There's this guy in particular was trying to set up a private plane route from Miami to Houston.
Okay.
That's the cocaine route, if anybody's confused.
That is.
So Rudy was like, yeah, I'm a pilot and I'm a good pilot and I have a private plane, so I'm able to do that. And started like picking people up at airports, and very quickly realized like these people are shady. They don't really talk to me. They have briefcases. I know what I'm doing, but I'm just the driver.
Yeah.
So I need to make money, not my business.
Which I honestly, I get that.
It's really interesting because, and I believe this part of the story in part because in very early interviews with Rudy, he talks about how he doesn't feel guilty for 9/11 specifically. He's like, I feel awful. It was awful, like as an American watching what happened, but I don't carry any guilt because I did my job.
Yeah.
I was paid to do a service and I did everything by the book. And then this happened anyway. He actually blames the U.S. like immigration services for this. He's like, I did everything by the book. This is not my fault that this happened. And he's taking the same approach here where he's like, my job is to drive.
Right.
I'm just getting the guy there.
I think it's important to note that like in the fervor after 9/11 to bring anyone to justice. The fact that they did not arrest him or press charges against him says a lot about how by the book he actually was.
Yeah.
Because if the FBI if they could have found anything to link him to the terrorist attacks, they would have.
They would have.
Because we wanted somebody.
We were angry.
We were angry.
Post
The entire
9/11.
country was angry.
Everyone was mad.
Yeah.
Dude.
Which is why I believe that somebody probably did cut his fuel lines.
And also, like, why he had so many legal troubles
Yeah.
afterwards, because he handed over everything, all of his financial records, and they found out that he was committing fraud. So he was, like, arrested and indicted, and he had to, bankruptcy. Like, all of that happened because of 9/11. All of that information came out into the light. So all of that other information came out. If he was actually responsible for 9/11 in any, like, real tangible way, we would have known.
Yeah.
So I kind of believe him when he says, my job was just to drive there, and I did it for the money.
Right.
I kind of believe him. I know he likes cocaine, so maybe that was like maybe they like tossed a tip to the pilot or whatever. On December 2nd, 2012, Rudi was arrested for drug smuggling and offering illicit services to an undercover federal officer. What happened was an undercover federal officer was in the middle of a sting operation aimed at Arturo Astarquiza, a pretty major kingpin in the drug smuggling universe.
Okay.
He gets introduced somehow to Rudi Deckers, and Rudi offers to transport narcotics via private aircraft, saying he had done it before and never had any issues. He's saying this in front of a federal agent. The federal agent is like, that's interesting. Gonna log that away for later. So apparently, I already told you about the brother-in-law and the Miami-Houston route, so he just needed the money and whatever.
Yeah.
So the sting operation works, I guess, because Astarquiza gets arrested. And when Rudi hears about this, he reaches out to the undercover officer directly and again offers his services. Say, hey, if you're not working for that guy anymore, I just want you to know I can still fly drugs in and out for you. No problem.
I can still fly your illegal drugs across the country.
Just to indict myself again. I just
Yeah.
want to let you know. So federal investigators started tailing Rudi and pretty quickly arrested him at the Houston airport when it appeared he was about to make a drug run for another customer. He was arrested with 18 kilos of cocaine and almost 1 kilo of heroin in his possession.
Wow.
I know.
That's rough.
That carries a prison sentence of up to 15 years.
Good Lord.
But Rudi and his lawyer renegotiate and cooperate with federal authorities, and the judge sentences him to 5 years instead.
Okay.
So how did Rudi Deckers fare in prison? It was kind of rough. So at first he said, quote, I didn't have any trouble with the cell at all. If you read books and close your eyes, you can go anywhere in the world, end quote, which made me a little emotional the first time I read it.
There's something like very, kind of where he comes from, like very Amsterdam about that. Very like magical realism, European
This is kind of
storybook.
monk-like. Like he's a real
Yeah.
dreamer, this Rudi Deckers, you know?
It's like Werner Herzog, right? Like that's something I would hear.
Close your eyes, you can be anywhere in the world. I love Werner Herzog. But Rudi was also locked up in a for-profit prison, which are some of the worst in the country.
That's tough.
The facilities are rough. The food is the worst.
And federal prisons are tough.
That is a very good point and very important, because this also means that he was locked up with Mexican gang members, and they did not like Rudi because he's Dutch. Like, you don't have anything in common.
All the problems you have in prison, and you're worried about like race. It feels like such a low bar.
The politics of prison are so infuriating to me. I'm just like, we can't just have a book club. We're having the worst. This is the worst thing that could be happening.
Let's just all keep our heads down and get through it.
Can we please just band together? Why do we have to keep like breaking off into groups and
Yeah.
just like stab and shank each other? Like, this is already awful. Can we just like have our beans and rice and like sit here? I don't know what they serve in federal prison. I'm assuming like unsalted rice and unsalted beans. That's like what comes to my head. It's just like pinto beans with nothing on them and like one kernel of corn.
Yeah, single kernel.
That's what I'm imagining. So these Mexican gang members beat Rudi up so severely that he is sent to the hospital.
Oh, Jesus.
Rudi, though, refused to tell the guards or name any names, which earned him a lot of trust and respect.
What did we learn from the Danbury Trashers?
Don't be a rat. Always be a stand-up guy.
That's right. It sounds like Rudi followed those rules.
That's what Rudi did. So now Rudi is in with the Mexican gang.
This Dutchman.
Yeah, and they offer him protection from the Russian gang, which was worse, I guess.
Why did the Russians list
I
that?
don't know. I don't understand why all the world's problems are just like magnified in this one federal prison. Apparently, this is like the worst federal prison in the United States.
Oh my God.
I'm so stressed even just thinking about it. This is from Rudy. Quote, "From that moment on, I was a paisa, a kind of compatriot for life. To them, I was a Mexican, a kind of guest of honor. The paisas hold the power in American prisons." End quote. So Rudy became a sort of spokesperson for the paisas and became rather powerful. This sounds like a little bit like he was a consigliere. Like a consigliere in like an Italian mafia doesn't necessarily have to be Sicilian or a made man. It's just a very trusted like lieutenant.
It's Ruben in The Sopranos. I think he's the one Jewish guy in the mafia with Tony and them.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not like in, but he's adjacent.
Right.
And he's very powerful because the big guys trust him a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the sense that this is kind of Rudy's thing in prison. I don't know. I don't know. Here's another quote from Rudy. "From those criminals, I learned what respect truly means. For example, when you're done eating, you don't just get up from the table because you'll get a knife in your body." End quote. Why? What if you just want to finish eating and go back to your cell?
The logic in that sentence is so fucked.
What is prison logic? I can't.
No, naturally, if you stand up, you could just get a knife in your body.
It's like disrespectful.
Yeah. I wouldn't survive. I don't think either of us would survive
I wouldn't.
in federal prison.
I wouldn't at all. All of this sounds extremely far-fetched, but based on what happens later, I am inclined to once again believe that he's not totally out to lunch.
Yeah.
Like the idea that Rudy Deckers is like now a Mexican gang member, I'm like, okay, maybe he's lying, but again, it kind of checks out because what happens after he gets released? Let's see. After his release, Rudy left the United States and moved to the Dominican Republic.
No kidding.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
In April 2019, Dutch authorities arrested Rudy at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol with 118 swallowed scoops of cocaine. He was sentenced to 7 months in prison, but he fled during a furlough abroad.
Oh my God. He's on the run?
Yeah. Yeah, he is. In 2022, Rudy was living in Medellin, Colombia. Interesting choice.
Yeah.
Really interesting choice for a cocaine guy. And he had a girlfriend at this point, too.
Uh-huh.
He spoke to a Dutch journalist saying, quote, "I'm recovering here in Colombia. I'm completely out of it again, financially and physically. But that doesn't mean I'm resigned to it. From this region, I want to recuperate and develop new business. My initial plan, supplying hardwood doors for the American market, has, on second thought, been abandoned. The zeitgeist is against me. With the growing climate anxiety and environmental pressure, it's best not to be associated with dead trees. No, I'm now thinking about jacuzzis for the Dutch market. They're manufactured very cheaply here, and the Dutch are increasingly foregoing foreign holidays due to rising energy prices and the hassle at Schiphol Airport. They're seeking their entertainment in their own country, spending more on their homes, and, yes, of course, would love a hot tub in the garden. You have to think along with the crowd."
He's a businessman.
End quote. To the end.
To the end,
he's
a
thinking about the
businessman.
next thing.
Yeah.
He later moved to the Philippines, where he died from heart failure on April 11th, 2024. He
Damn.
was 68 years old.
R.I.P. Rudy.
That was Rudy Decker's life.
What a man. What an absolutely full human life. So many extremes of existence, all mashed into one person's life.
And the thing is, I could only find so much information in American media.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I could only find a couple of articles written right after 9/11.
Sure.
Were like, this is where he was trained and he's being investigated by federal authorities. And then when he was arrested for at the Houston airport for drug possession.
Yeah.
And then when he died. Those are the only articles I could find. There were a lot more Dutch articles written about him. And every time I read one of these articles, I was getting more information on his life and like more quotes directly from him, which was really interesting. And everything I read just got like more and more nuts. Like you would think we're tapping out at the crazy and then just more craziness. So I'm sure there's a lot of details that we're not even getting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he had a relationship with his children. It seems like he didn't because he's moving all over the world. He's spending time in federal prison. I don't think he really had a relationship with his kids, but I don't know. What else was he doing in Medellin, Colombia? Again, we just watched Narcos.
Yeah, we did.
I know what was happening in Medellin, Colombia.
It's kind of top of mind. Man, what a wild rabbit hole that was, Lindsey. My God.
I want to send out a huge thank you to my friend Rhea Penny. Rhea is a very good friend of the show and of me, and she recommended this story
That's
a
incredible.
couple weeks ago.
That's
and
fantastic.
It was a really good recommendation.
Thank you so much, Rhea. This is a great story.
Thank you, Rhea.
Yeah.
I adore you.
Well, Lindsey, thank you for that rabbit hole. I'm thoroughly entertained by that.
I'm so glad.
That was a wild one.
Wild.
Yeah.
I'm Lindsey.
And I'm Connor.
And I told you this would be interesting.
Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week and the week after and the week after with more rabbit holes of history or pop culture. If you like what we do, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all the things that we have to ask you to do very cringely at the end of these episodes.
Yes.
In order for the algorithm to pick us up and to make sure that we exist.
And I'm just saying that the holidays are coming up and it would be really cool if we hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm just saying that would be a really nice gift that you could give to me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
She deserves it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I will see you next week.
And I'll see you in 2 seconds.